What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I'm going to be doing something that I don't normally do on this channel, and that's be negative. A lot of you guys who have been around for a long time know that I'm Mr. Positivity, or at least Mr. Glass Half Full. I generally don't like doing negative reviews. If I come across a knife that I just don't like, I just don't review it, because it doesn't do me any good to just tear it apart on camera. No, I like showing you guys knives that I like. That's what I like to do. But because my channel is like overwhelmingly positive, I thought it might be good to kind of mix it up a little bit and tell you about some of the knives that I think are just completely overrated. Now, this list is compiled of knives that I've actually personally experienced. A lot of these knives, in fact, all of these knives are very popular models, and they appear, across a wide variety of different top 10 lists for different reasons. And that's kind of how I've compiled it. Each one of these knives I've looked at and gone, okay, I can see why this might be good for this, or why people might like it for this reason, but top 10, really? It's overrated. So that's what this is. Expect to be a little bit frustrated. I fully expect you to tell me exactly how stupid you think I am in the comments section, so feel free to do that. I know the risks associated with making a video like this, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, did you think Shaman was number 10? No, that was just to keep your attention. I love the Shaman. I would never put it on a list like that. Alrighty, here, let's get everything right in frame. As you can see here, number 10 is the Opinel number 8. Look, fully flat ground blade. It's got a ring lock, simple design, contoured handles. In terms of a minimalist EDC knife, yeah, I totally understand why people like this knife. And it's a $10 knife, right? What's to complain about? It's just a piece of wood with a sharpened piece of metal on it. It locks, it will cut, it'll do just fine. If you're into the minimalist thing, fine. Here in 2019, I ask a lot more of my knife, and I would much rather spend a lot more money. And by a lot more, I mean, like, I'd rather spend $40 on a really, really good knife than $10 on something that is minimalist just for the sake of being minimalist. Like I said, if you have this knife and you enjoy it, then there's nothing wrong with that. It is, at base, it's a great cutting tool, but I want a lot more out of my knives than this, and it shocks me that this makes it on the top 10 list for anything. So, in my opinion, the Opinel number 8, and truthfully, most Opinel knives, I think, are a little bit overrated. Are they good cutting tools? Sure. Are they overrated? Yeah, I think so. Moving on here, number 9, this is the Gerber ParaFrame. Gerber seems to be heading in a better direction. They've had a rough go of it for a while, and the ParaFrame is, or there's like I think this is the ParaFrame 2 now, I'm not sure, but there's some with the nail nicks and some with the thumb studs. All ParaFrame models are standing in for number 9 here. This is one of their flagship models, and honestly, I've handled it. I've handled multiple variants. It's a junk jar knife that you get at the checkout stand at a local hardware store. They sell these for $20 to $30, and I know a lot of you guys have these in your pockets, and I'm sure you've been using them for a long time, but listen, even if it has stood up to the elements, there's so many better knives out there that you can get for that kind of money. And again, like I said, there's a lot of other overrated knives that are about that same amount, that could serve as a better number 9 spot, I'm sure. But as far as what I've experienced, the Gerber ParaFrame, I have no idea how this thing makes it into a top 10 list. I'm sure it's okay, but definitely, in my opinion, overrated. Moving on here, the Boca quick, and I can already feel, the hatred, people unsubscribing. This is a great design for like, a gentleman's carry knife, light EDC, low profile, they've got really high-end, crazy custom versions of this. They've got the thumb disc version you're seeing here. They've got a flipper. I think, do they even have a thumb stud one? I'm not really sure. The thing is it's, at base, it's just a blade that goes into a handle, which is essentially all folding knives. There's some contouring on there, but this, to me, just isn't anything special. And it keeps popping up on so many top 10 EDC. The handle leaves a lot to be desired. In fact, manipulation, as a whole versus other knives in the same price range leaves a lot to be desired. This, to me, is just, it kind of, a lot of people put it way up high on a pedestal. To me, it's just an okay folding knife. There's nothing wrong with it. It's going to do its job. Obviously, it's not meant to take out and beat on and do, that's not what this list is about, is whether or not it's durable. No, I'm just saying, you know, for the money, and these can be relatively inexpensive to relatively expensive knives. I think a lot of them run between $40 and $80, you know, kind of there in the middle. But 40 to 80 bucks, in my experience, which is not the most in the entire world, but I do, you know, I have handled a lot of knives. If you take a look at my channel, this just really shocks me that it's on anybody's top 10 list. I think this knife is a little bit overrated. Not the worst one on the list, but a little bit overrated for sure. Moving on here, I don't think this is going to come as much surprise to a lot of you guys. The CRK M16, and I also put the CRK M21 in there as well. I actually did give a positive review to this knife, as well as the Opinel, for anybody who's wondering, on my channel. But that's because I have a nostalgic tie to this thing. A lot of you guys have heard my story about a construction worker leaving a knife like this behind on my dad's job site, and my dad ended up giving it to me. Operationally, I think this knife is okay. You know, they come in handle materials such as Zytel, all the way up to, I think, some more premium stuff like you're seeing here, like aluminum, more premium for this price range. The blade designs are okay. They're extremely tactical, though. There's some stuff on there that's really completely unnecessary, like the safety on the liner lock, the thing that locks it into place, which is, I think, on some and not on others. They're running on nylon, and you know, the blade grind is not I mean, it's more kind of wanting to display, like, you know, military and tactical, and you know, it's kind of a peacock knife, you know, for what it really is. It's just a basic folding knife. I mean, there's a lot of incredible knives that you can get for the same money, but these things always show up on top 10 lists, and it's always surprising to me. They're okay. They're going to do the job. If you own this knife, you didn't necessarily make a bad choice. In fact, I really like it. But is putting it on a top 10 list, a top 10 of all time list, appropriate? No, not in my experience, not even close. So both the M16 and M21 are definitely overrated. Oh my gosh, are you serious? That's a Hinderer design. You couldn't possibly say that the 0566 is overrated. Yeah, guys, I am a huge Hinderer fan. The biggest Hinderer fanboy that a lot of you probably have ever met. Now, I know there's crazier Hinderer fans out there, but I seriously love Hinderer knives. But it pains me to admit that ZT's 0566 is, in my opinion, an overrated knife. Now, the design is fantastic, you know, in terms of ergonomics. The G10 and the blade steel being S35VN at the base model, and the blade grind, all that's great. But if I take a step back and I'm being honest with myself, this is a steel frame lock and it's assisted. It's made in the USA under KAI USA. ZT and Kershaw are both under KAI. A lot of Kershaw's, not KI, Kershaw's USA line are kind of the same build. In fact, taking a look at a lot of the USA builds, I'm thinking, wait a minute, the same build quality is being applied to some USA Kershaws. This is basically a USA Kershaw with a ZT stamp on it, and they want, instead of 80, 90, 100 bucks, they want $130, $135. Nah, truthfully, this knife is good. It's a good design, but putting it in a top 10 best EDC knives of all time, I mean, like, if you don't believe me with any of this stuff, just Google top 10 best EDC knives. You're going to come across each one of these, and you're going to think the same thing, unless you own it and you love it. This is a good knife. Now, for 135 bucks, there's a lot of other stuff that I'd recommend to people. So sadly, and this is kind of an iconic moment, a Hinderer actually made a negative top 10 list. 0566 a little bit overrated. Oh no, another ZT. He couldn't possibly be doing this to us. For those of you who are still here and still listening to me, the ZT0350 again is just G10 and a steel liner with S30V, and it's assisted. Made in the USA, but no better build quality than a lot of the USA Kershaws. Now, there's nothing wrong with the USA Kershaws. For anybody wondering, like, are you saying the USA Kershaws are bad? I'm saying that for the amount of money they want for some of these, up in this price range, you know, with ZT, it's like you're coming out of the assisted steel liner lock and steel frame lock world, and you're coming into more of the G10 or carbon fiber or titanium with titanium frame lock world. And there's a lot of competition out there. Was this a good knife a few years ago? Yeah. But nowadays, for what do they want for this? $140? No. On top of that, I'm not convinced that the blade shape is the best for EDC, or the overall profile, for that matter, is the best for EDC. Is it a good knife? Yeah. Is it, does it belong on any top 10 lists? No, I think it might be a tad bit overrated. Moving on here, a knife that will surely make a whole army of you upset. Not the 940 as an entire model. No, actually, I think the 940 is, I've kind of grown away from it, but I still recognize that the Benchmade 940 is a good model. You know, specifically though, the base aluminum variant and the 940-2. The 940-1, however, started off as kind of a questionable knife for the money. And in 2019, $270 for S90V and carbon fiber with an axis lock. No, I'm sorry. You know, this is a good knife. S90V is good steel. The blade shape that they've got here, this reverse tanto, is a good blade shape. The profile, the narrow profile, absolutely a great profile. The weight, oh, fantastic weight. What does it weigh? 2.5 ounces? Carbon fiber, is that a good material? Absolutely. You know, the overall fit and finish, it's Benchmade, but it's still pretty good. Put all those things together, do you have a $275 knife? No, you do not. I have no idea how this knife ends up on top 10 lists, but it does. If you've already purchased this knife and you love it, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally just think that this is an overrated knife. Thank you, GP Knives, for that notification. Moving on here, a knife that probably a lot of you will agree with me, but some of you definitely will not agree with me on. This is the Benchmade Infidel. This is an OTF. It is Benchmade's, in my opinion, their flagship OTF. I think a lot of us remember when this knife came out. Do you remember when this knife came out? It used to be D2 steel. There's nothing wrong with D2 steel, or I would hope it was CPM D2 steel. No, this is, the current versions are S30V and aluminum. It's a double action automatic knife for $400. Now, I'm sure that still does convince a lot of people. In fact, I'll admit, the overall look of this knife and the design, it's very appealing. And to my knowledge, it doesn't weigh very much considering it's like a 9-inch knife. Is aluminum a good choice for an automatic frame? Yeah, in fact, that's kind of the industry standard for automatic knives. How about the design of the handle? Is it good? Yeah, absolutely. I like the symmetrical look. It's very pleasing to the eye. Is the switch easy to use and convenient? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, as far as I know, it's not one of those OTFs that risks going off in your pocket. And I've handled it. It feels like quality. How about S30V? Is it a good steel? Absolutely. Absolutely. CPM S30V is a great steel. Fit and finish on these guys, from what I've seen, I've handled 3 of these things now. Yes, absolutely. Put all that stuff together. Do you have a $400 knife or more? No, you don't. Listen, there's a lot of really good USA automatic knives out there. Out the front, double action that you can get for like around $250 or so. Guardian Tactical makes a great knife. And I think they use arguably better steel. We all know that Microtech makes the probably the most recognizable automatic knife in the world, or OTF in the world, the Ultratech. You can get those double ground, dagger ground like this, using aluminum and M390, and they've got contoured scales. The only difference between that knife and this knife is that the frame is a little bit wider. And then the Ultratech is what, a 1/4 of an inch shorter or 1/2 an inch shorter. $270 versus $400 to $425, whatever these run now. Now, I mean, the Ultratech, a lot of people look at that and they go, that's kind of an overpriced OTF, The Benchmade Infidel, I have never understood why it costs so much money. Is it a good functioning tool? Yeah, as far as I understand, there are plenty of people like soldiers who actually put this thing, through hard use tests, and it survives, and I don't have personal experience with that, but as far as I know, yeah, it's a very functional cutting tool. And those of you who have actually spent the money and you carry this and you enjoy it, there's nothing wrong with that. But to those people who are considering it and they're wondering, is this the best thing out there for the money? It shows up on a lot of top 10 lists. No, I am really shocked that this thing ever shows up on a top 10 list. It's just too expensive. Moving on here, I'm going to warn you guys. This next one might cause a few heart attacks, and a few of you are going to change your opinion about me entirely. Here we go. Are you ready? No! The Spyderco Spidey Chef. Yeah, that's right. I've reviewed this knife on my channel, and I did give it a positive review, and I'll tell you why it's showing up on my top 10 most overrated knives list. Let me start off with what I like. The blade shape is excellent. Excellent blade shape. Very, very slicey. There's nothing wrong with it at all. How about the blade steel? LC200N. Initially in the video I said that after reading in Spyderco's own forums a reply from Sal Glesser himself, Was it Sal or Eric? I can't remember who actually gave the reply. They said their internal testing of LC200N was that it had edge retention similar to VG10. However, months later, after there were lots of user testing both on the forums and YouTube, people were finding out that the edge retention was more similar to S30V. Now, considering that the steel is almost impervious to corrosion, you have yourself an incredible steel. If that's actually the case, you have a steel that stands to truly compete with M390, not just in edge retention, just in overall utility. LC200N might just be the very next best steel out there. Now, that's from here over. From here back, it's the most basic frame lock I've ever seen. Honestly, it's very underwhelming. I think the fact that this knife is getting so much attention right now is that you have that blade shape and that steel combined. At $212, $217 though, it's a good knife, but it left a lot to be desired. The very next knife, the very next amazing knife, or even standard flagship model that Spyderco does in LC200N will cast such a heavy shadow over this knife. It won't, I mean, I'm not going to say that it won't be relevant. I'm just saying, you know, it's the blade shape and the steel that is making this knife so, you know, wow. Is it a good knife? Yeah, absolutely. Is it going to serve you well in an EDC sense? Yeah, I think so. You know, is it built well, fit and finished? Is it good? Yeah, absolutely. It just, for me, it was underwhelming. I just don't quite get the, you know, what, it's top 10? Really? What? Why? You know, I mean, there's a lot of other knives I'd rather have for the money, though I'm not doubting the performance of LC200N, especially in that geometry. So if you haven't unsubscribed yet, and I haven't pushed you over the edge into complete rage-driven insanity, I'm going to move on to the very last knife on this list. And a lot of you can guess it. A lot of you guys, I know what his last one is. But for those of you who are left and haven't unsubscribed yet, let me help you out. Let me push you over the edge. Number one, the Benchmade Bugout. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you guys know my opinion on the Bugout. I actually did give the knife a positive review. I know that my own personal preferences are not, you know, they don't correspond directly with the vast majority of people. We're all different people. We all ask different things of our folding knives. We all, you know, measure quality in different ways. Some of us measure quality in weight. Some of us, you know, more weight equals more quality. That's definitely not true. Some people measure quality with lightweight. Less weight equals quality. That's also not true. There's a balance, but you know, how good the balance is, or you know, how indicative that balance is of quality is left up to the individual. My personal experience with this knife is that it feels like a toy. And at the base price of $118 for the stand, this isn't the base one, by the way. The blue one with the satin finish, 118 bucks. Oh, I've never been so dissatisfied with how something feels. In terms of performance, blade shape, excellent. Carry profile, excellent. Usable edge to weight ratio, excellent. Ergonomics, excellent. Pocket clip, excellent. Excellent. Oh my gosh, does it feel cheap though? It's the hollowed out scales. Honestly, this knife, I mean, I'm not okay with how easy it feels like I could break it. Now I know FRN is stronger than I once thought it was. I have that video about, you know, G10 durability versus FRN, but I just would rather have some solidity for that much money. No, give me a Manix 2 for that much money. I'm much happier with a G10 Manix 2 for the exact same amount of money or close to it. The Bugout, you know, if you're really into lightweight and, you know, the most, I remember that thing they did about the gray man. Oh, that made me cringe. But I am fully aware that this is a good knife for a lot of people, and for people looking for that type of profile and weight, yeah, I will still recommend the Bugout to people, but do I think it's overrated? Definitely. I think there's better choices out there. Hopefully you guys recognize that this video was mostly for fun and mostly just for entertainment, and hopefully I didn't make too many people hate me and screw my channel completely for the future. But rest assured, if you're still here, next weekend I'm going to be doing my top 10 most underrated knives. Hopefully, you know, in an attempt to redeem myself for any subscribers that I lost while making this video. Anyways, that's going to be pretty much it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video in any way, shape, or form, go ahead and leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, you can see my reflection back there pointing at nothing. But if you'd like to check out my other content, there's definitely more stuff out there like these two videos you're seeing here. So check that stuff out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this metal complex logo right here. and subscribe to my channel because there's definitely more coming. Did I already say that? There's definitely more content coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.